stress chemistry, and this is what I'll share my screen with you for just a quick moment for. I don't want to bore the audio only people, but basically what you're looking at is there's this graph that I like to show patients where, it's a pyramid shape and cholesterol is way up at the tip top. And then your body takes cholesterol and it turns it into all of the sex hormones. So progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, all of those are made out of cholesterol. Or you have an alternative pathway. If you go to the left in this image instead of the right, you can turn that cholesterol, that precursor, into cortisol and cortisone. And I've seen this numerous times where like people's stress response is getting away from them, and their estrogen is all wacky, and also their cholesterol is really high a lot of the time. Yeah. Or bottomed out completely and they have like no cholesterol in their blood sample. And I think it's that the body is trying to shuttle precursors towards the stress chemistry, because it's just like you need that chemistry to keep you going. You need that cortisol to like keep you alive and keep you trudging through life. And it can throw off everything else. It can throw off your hormones, because now you're sucking up the precursors and you're turning them into stress chemistry instead of testosterone and estrogen and progesterone. And it can mess with your cholesterol synthesis in the liver, because I think your liver just starts saying, oh my God, like we need more of this stuff. We better make more cholesterol.
Yeah.
And it can throw off so much of your physiology. The moment you start messing with hormones, everything kind of goes out the window, because hormones interact with literally every cell of your entire body. And the same thing goes for the gut, because you need to absorb nutrients and yada, yada. But like, that's just one example of like the chronic stress response of the fight or flight. And it can really just put this cascade into play where it kind of snowballs away from you. And ultimately, the best thing you could do is to work on mitigating that stress chemistry and that stress response and help your body handle that more efficiently.
Yeah.
Everything else though.
Yeah, and I like what you were saying too, and I believe the same exact thing, that like there's so much interplay between the nervous system and hormones, and so I kind of view it as a stress response, like like fight or flight tends to be like connected to the nervous system, but there's so many like, again, as I sort of view it as a stress response, because it's more than just the nervous system being activated in one way. It's like this cascade of hormonal effects that happens after it. And I think that like, it's interesting what you mentioned about the cholesterol stuff too, because I almost think like cortisol is such a master hormone where, again, if your body feels like it needs more cortisol and it's like going down a different pathway and pumping that out, then cortisol is going to interact with a lot of other hormones. And one hormone it interacts with a lot is thyroid hormone. Again, if cortisol is being chronically activated and that system is being activated, a lot of times thyroid hormones get suppressed, and they also pull cholesterol out of the blood into cells. So I think that that's a connection too. If the stress response is like out of control, thyroid hormones are usually trying to like slow down metabolic function a lot of times, preserve fuel or things like that. And there can be a big thyroid effect when cortisol gets out of whack. And so I definitely see that with cholesterol too, a connection between lower thyroid hormones, like active hormones, not like the messenger TSH, but like free T3, and higher cholesterol as well.
Yeah. And I think like, going to the cortisol piece of the conversation, the so-called stress hormone, but acknowledging it has a lot of other roles in the body.
For sure.
There is, hormones interact with every cell of the body. And therefore, again, like all hats are off when you start talking about a hormone like cortisol. But one of the things is that cortisol and corticotropin releasing hormone, the thing that kind of predates or precedes cortisol release, those two hormones will directly cause leaky gut, and they will directly upregulate and degranulate mast cells in the intestines, which are a type of immune cell in the intestines that tend to be either more numerous or more active in people with irritable bowel syndrome. and it can lead to a lot of the symptoms and the pathology that we see with irritable bowel syndrome. So again, it's like if you're chronically in that fight or flight, yes, your vagus nerve is going to be toast, and therefore your motility is going to be toast, and you're not going to make stomach acid, and like your digestive juices are all going to suck. But also, you're going to be giving yourself leaky gut, and you're going to be giving yourself some pretty ticked off and degranulated mast cells, and then that can perpetuate things like visceral hypersensitivity and irritable bowel syndrome more broadly. And it'll keep you stuck in a freaking rut if you don't address it. And you're going to keep learning the same lessons until you take note and you respond to them. I think that's